So I thought I'd just take some time and walk you through what I like to call a deal review. And I'm going to walk this all the way back of a deal that we were involved with that we ended up losing. So we met this enterprise account 12 months before we engaged in a conversation. And through that 12 months, I would reach out, we would drip them, send them content, invite them to webinars and things like that just to stay engaged. And then we got a call in the fall. They were ready to meet. But that's not exactly how it went. I got a call from one of the executive leaders, and they said, hey, we'd like you to come to a presentation. And I said, well, there's nothing for me to present. I don't know what's going on in the organization. I don't know what you're looking for. Oh, we're looking for sales training. Sometimes our prospects are looking for something they think they're looking for, but they might not really know what they need. You know what I'm saying? And we want you to come in and show us what you can do. And I said, appreciate the opportunity, the kind of meeting that this will be for me. What I need to do is I need an opportunity to come in, ask a lot of questions, understand what's going on, why you're looking for this, and see if we're a good fit. So that immediately put them back on their heels just a bit. And the reason why is because what happened in the buyer-seller control, right? It's a Dan. It's all about control. And you probably also get prospects that call and ask you to come to a dog and pony or come show them what you can do. And a lot of times we make a mistake and miss that right out of the gate. So I want to digress there to tell you what's happening, right? It's a psychology, it's a control thing. So I was willing to take that. I was willing to take the risk and maybe not get the opportunity because I knew the process. So they agreed. I scheduled a meeting with all the executive leaders. I went in, took our sales process, took our sales tools, which we call the interview sheet, and I ran the meeting. Asked a lot of questions, table set, answered all their questions. And through that meeting, what I realized at the end was that I missed some information and I was out of time. And this happens often. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about it in a class recently. Is sometimes we'll get in a meeting with multiple prospects with the time that's allotted, and sometimes they'll take us off our process, or we'll go down a rabbit hole or get some information that we need. And what we have to do in that moment is we have to make a decision. Do we schedule another meeting? Do we take what we have? And it's difficult. And the reason I'm sharing this is I've been doing this 25 years, right? I teach this stuff. I'm an expert, right? And I still make mistakes, which is why the process and the system and the stages and the tools are so important. So at the end, the reason I knew that I missed some information in a step is because I did have my process and tool in front of me. But there was one piece of information the CFO gave me that I made a decision in the moment not to go long in the meeting or not to ask for another meeting, that I felt comfortable I was going to be able to back in the information based on that one data point. So at the end of the meeting, I asked what they wanted to do from here. Where would you like to go from here? That's one of our closing questions. And they said, we'd like you to come back in 2 weeks and do a presentation. So I said, great. I said, who would you like me to schedule it with? And they said, oh, you can schedule it with so-and-so. I'm like, great. Which was in the room, or who was in the room. So they said, hey, why don't you just send me some times and dates and we'll get everything scheduled. And I was like, no. Because anyone listening to this knows that's when we go into this circle, this black circle, right? We get lost. We're back and forth on email, trying to coordinate 5 executives' calendars. That would have taken me 2 months. So I asked very politely, hey, is it okay if we just, do you have 2 minutes? We can just run to your office and get this scheduled now. That's what we did. So over the next 2 weeks, I began to put together the presentation. So we have a sequence or a process structured presentation that we use, and that's what I built over the next 2 weeks, was taking their information and plugging it in. The presentation is actually based on how people make decisions. So I spent a lot of time, and then I end up having to spend some time to back in the things that I missed based on that data point. So fast forward, a couple weeks later, we get on the phone. It's a video conference, and some things that I missed. One was I did not set clear enough expectations that I wanted everybody to have their video on. And 2 of the attendees' video was not on. So I missed that. And this has become a problem since COVID, right? I mean, a lot of our sales presentations, sales calls have moved to video. And just for the record, 55% of communication is body language. So just let that sit in for a second. When we're doing video conferencing, if the camera's not on, we're losing 55% of communication. So immediately I'm back on my foot, back on my heels, because I'm not able to read body language, which is very difficult in a presentation, right? How fast we move, how slow we're moving, things like that, very difficult. So I missed that. So we move forward. I'm coming down through the presentation. I make the presentation. They ask some really good questions. And then I ask again, what would they like to do from here? And they said, we're going to have a decision by the end of the year, and we'll get back to you. And I said, oh, okay, great. Sounds wonderful. I said, however, would it be okay if I check in with so-and-so maybe the middle of December, just to see if any other questions came up, see where you guys are, and go from there? Like, no, that's fine. So I set a 5-minute follow-up call with one of the leaders just to do a check-in a couple weeks out. So I get on the phone. She said, hey, we're not moving forward with this year. Some other things have taken priority, and we'll reconnect with you the following year. And I said, great. So I leave that meeting. Well, I don't leave that meeting. Before I leave that meeting, I set up another follow-up meeting 6 months out, right, for the middle of the next year. So I had that touch point. I used to be the king of the 5-minute follow-up, right? I teach this, like, we never leave a meeting without setting the next. That might be worth the whole video to somebody. We never leave a meeting without setting up the next meeting, even if it's tentative, but we get in the calendar. So I walk away, and the beautiful thing about what I've been doing for 25 years, it's our 25th anniversary this year. I started when I was 10 years old. And is having a process we can measure. So because I got to know, I was able to go back to the beginning, come all the way back through, and figure out why I got to know. So there was a couple things early in our conversation was things I was picking up on. This is the direction we want to go. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to implement. And there were only 2 reasons after I measured everything and reviewed it, did a deal review. There are only 2 things that could have happened. 1, it's possible they could have lied, right? I'm not saying they did, but is it possible they didn't tell me all the truth? Sure, that's a possibility. Second thing is, and I feel this is probably the real reason, is we weren't a fit for them. This was an enterprise account who had been probably used to basic corporate sales training and sales development. The type of training that's not effective, right? Short trainings, 3 hours, 5 hours, 1 day, 2 day, where team members don't retain and they definitely don't apply. And one of our biggest differentiators is we change behavior. So our training is delivered over time, right? So this is very different compared to other companies. I love no's, right? Do I like losing deals? Sure, not as much as I used to. But, my coach always told me that no gets us closer to a yes. But the reason I sit here and I'm comfortable and I'm at peace with losing an enterprise deal is because I know what happened. I knew the process. I felt comfortable. I always knew where I was. I always knew where they were. And as a result of a no, I know exactly what happened. So that's me, Owen Van Syckle, breaking a deal review down for you. And if you want to hear more information like this, more stories, more real stories about process, presentation, sales, then you just push that button and you follow me for more.